Thrice!
Thrice! With the trilling R. That'll definitely make it into the mess ups. Hey guys, Matt from Laser Everything here today with Kyle, and today we're going to be talking about the ComMarker fiber laser. It's something that is an unboxing video for me, but Kyle previously had this already, and I'll turn it over to Kyle to talk about it for a minute, and then we'll come back to me to talk about what we're going to be doing with it now.
So ComMarker originally sent over, this is the ComMarker B4 model, and it is the 20-watt version that came with a rotary and 2 lenses. And they sent it over originally for pre-production feedback. They wanted to know what they could improve, how we felt about it, how they could fix it up. So it's not really in its final form. It didn't really feel fair, but it's a perfectly functioning laser, and we wanted to make good use of it. It came with a 110 lens and a 200 lens, 20-watt max source, and it is now being put toward good use, I think.
Yeah, and so one of the questions you guys have a lot of times frequently in chat and also in videos like on the actual YouTube comments is, could this be a good fiber laser for me to take to shows? How do I set up at a show? And we've had lots of questions talking about that. So one of the things that we decided to develop was basically a list of things that you need to prepare for working at a show, a craft show. And one of the things people always ask is, what's the difference between a split unit and an all-in-one unit? And so the split unit is the one that most of us all have, like the 50-watt JPT or Rakis, where it's the power supply on one side and it's connected to the fiber laser tower with the focal lens and everything separate. So that's one of those. And then what we're looking at today, the ComMarker, is an all-in-one unit. And the other thing that's really cool about it is, normally one of the things people ask about is, how can I set this up? What kind of hardware do I need as far as a table goes to carry the weight of that, and all those kind of questions. So one of the reasons Kyle and I thought this would be a really cool tool to use for this is because the average crate that comes to you from China is about 50 kilograms, which is 100 pounds, versus this guy, which is about 45 to 50 pounds with shipping. So that's really awesome. So this is a really cool compact unit that we're going to take a look at. And the goal today is just to unbox it. So if you're new to the channel, or if you never got to see the unboxing before, what does this come with? How does it work? And what we'll do is we'll unbox it today. I'll be putting it together with Kyle off screen so that we can come back to you guys and show you what it looks like in comparison to another unit. And then we'll kind of start talking about how we're going to utilize this in a small workspace. So this is the ComMarker, the entire thing. Normally they come in a crate that's probably 3 foot by 2 foot, and they're heavy, they're 100 pounds. This is actually sitting on a table that's 4 feet long. So this box is probably around 2.5 feet and by like 18 inches. So way smaller already in size. So just something to consider. So let's crack this sucker open, huh? Kyle, what do you think? Anything to talk about?
I thought it was really impressive how they packaged the machine. They took care with the corners, getting it, safely to where it's being. Because a lot of the time when you package something that's more than, say, 20, 30 pounds into a box, even with foam, the cardboard corners can sometimes get punched in, especially if they're getting dropped with all that weight in it more than once. So those hard plastic corners, I was really impressed with on the care they took with that. And you'll see when you get inside the box, there's a pretty good job with the foam cutouts that they made to fit that laser into such a small box and keep it, safe.
So this is what Kyle was talking about. So because they're not in a wooden crate, and because they've got pieces that are kind of critical to keep safe, I guess, like lenses and fiber optic cables and all that kind of stuff. So this is where I have a sharp blade. You can get under it pretty quick. Yeah,
just kind of cut away the connecting tape and it folds right off.
Thanks to Willie Sims for this beautiful sharp knife that I've got here, unboxing. The nice thing is, this is the second time this has been boxed up. So Kyle was able to pretty easily incorporate this into the shipping. So if you ever did resell it, or if you had a show where maybe you couldn't fit it into the trailer and you decided you could actually mail this to yourself in a different location if you had to, probably.
Yeah, I don't know how often you would want to take it apart and rebox it, but for like maybe one big show a year where you're going to the other side of the country and you were flying instead of driving, that could absolutely be an option if you had a reliable place to get it mailed to.
You got a box inside of a box. But there you go. You're already in. So hard to see. Pretty much that quick. You're in. So there it is, right there. Nice and packaged up. Okay.
Very well fitted in there.
So if you can see, everything's got a space, nice and form fitted. So it really shouldn't be jostling around.
Everything has a space and it's in it, right?
Right.
The only real tricky part about the way it's boxed in is that the fiber optic cable and the primary all-in-one box is on the bottom, and that fiber optic cable kind of fishes up to the next layer on top to get to the head, like the laser path and head. That's really the only tricky part. So basically you want to take everything else out before you take that top layer off and have to deal with that.
Got our customer service manual and some information here. We got the USB-A to USB-B. Yep. We got a little ring rotary, which is really cool. I don't know if you can see that. Little tiny, teeny guy. Looks like a D60.
Yep, it's a D60 ring rotary, and it actually comes with a 4-pin connector, aviation connector on the end.
Oh, nice. Yep, so standard. So the good news is that would actually work with your fiber laser if you've got another unit.
Assuming you have, a 2-phase 4-pin. That is the external rotary box. If you're an OG on the channel or you went back and looked at old videos, you may have seen where Alex showed off a Mactron external rotary box, like the driver and power separate, and then the rotary plugs into that, and then that box plugs back into the little 4-pin for the instructions for the control card. Yep. So that allows you to lose some weight on the machine. So if you don't need to use a rotary at a show, you can leave that at home and you save yourself maybe 10 pounds.
So then we've got some leads and some component pieces, power cords. It's like an exhaust.
That mounts onto the head, and that's actually for if you notice there's a handle on it. That's a focusing ring. You can hold it up to what you want to mark if you don't want to mount it to a tower. Let's say it doesn't fit under the small space you have on that small machine, or you need to mark like something on a wall or another flat surface. And
I'll take this out. We'll put it together later, but this is where the arms go together and connect to the lower ring and the top ring. But there's a piece in here that literally looks almost like an exhaust hood vent connected piece.
Yeah. It's like a little exhaust flange, but it basically mounts over the lens, and that's the ring that allows you to attach that little kind of gantry to as like a little focusing triangle kind of thing.
What's cool is I've actually got a couple of, they're hard to see, but that's acrylic pieces for holding stuff down or setting up a jig for yourself. So that's pretty cool. Man, this really is like super snug in here.
It can't wiggle around if it has no room to wiggle.
All right, so this is the tower. This is where we're going to connect it to. It's got a small little place for rising or raising the Z, little crank here that folds in on itself. Pretty sweet.
That stays nice and compact, and when it's folded up, it doesn't catch on anything. The nice part about this machine too is it also has a motorized up and down, so you can control it either way, manually or through the motorized Z.
So this is one of our lenses, which by the way, these are proprietary lenses, right?
Yeah, they're becoming more and more popular with the smaller machines. You can find them elsewhere, but they're definitely harder to find. They're not as common.
Yeah, so think about what a normal lens is in your hand, which for me is like literally my whole palm. And then there's this guy, which pretty tiny. So
it's about 30% smaller in size.
Again, this is the pre-production. Do we know what the production cost was?
This version came with a rotary. I think it was $2,600 on Amazon. I'll confirm here. But the base model without the rotary, just the double lenses basically, same source, was $2,200 on Amazon about. And it was actually recently on sale for $2,000 flat.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Like for a piece to go. So this is what Kyle was talking about, and I'm kind of stopping to point it out. So if you ever do get one of these units, and again, it might not be this specific one, but these kind of seem to be packed similarly. So this is where the unit is going to snake down, and you can actually see right here on this piece, it goes down. And so this is where I'm going to take this piece out. See? So again, everything's nicely form fitted to this. And this is where you can actually see the fiber optics right here. So this is the part we want to be careful with the most. This slides out nice and easy. And here we go. We've got our unit. This is where I've got a chair set up here so that I can actually get this easily. There we go.
I did just validate too. The ComMarker B4 20 watt, which is what you have there, it actually comes with 2 different rotaries. So it comes with a standard small chuck rotary as well as a ring rotary. $26.99 with 2 lenses, and it's a $200 off coupon right now.
Nice.
Without the rotary, just the two lenses is $22.99. Again, also with a $200. So for a travel machine, this is pretty reasonable considering a lot of even like the little 2-watt ones that are handheld like this. This is a 20-watt machine. A 2-watt machine is generally going to cost you 60, 70, 80% of what this would cost already anyway.
Yeah, and the reason I'm zooming in and kind of, or like moving this forward to show you, this is a 4-foot table, so it's 4 feet wide, and it's about probably 2 feet in depth here. So from here to here, it's 2 feet, and this is how small the unit is. So I don't want to coil up or do anything bad to the fiber optics, but this is a pretty compact unit. And so when this is going to be put on the actual tower, it'll probably be with everything this wide on the table. So the tower actually sits right here on top of this. It's why an all-in-one unit. But when you've got stuff sitting next to it, even on a 2-foot table with things sitting next to it like a mouse pad or your laptop, plenty of space. The other thing that came with it are cables. We've got a foot pedal for repeatability. So if you're out somewhere, you're making something on the fly, on the go quick, you got that. We've got our little components to make sure that it fits together nicely. And it came with a pair of glasses too.
Yep.
So pretty sweet.
So one of the big feedback topics that I gave them was that the glasses do not have an identifying OD value on them or wavelength rating. They did confirm with me the wavelength and the OD rating on it. And it is listed on the individual listing for that on Amazon. However, the feedback is that if it's not on the glasses in some form or another, if they have more than one machine type, they won't know what that's for. So while they could be reasonably good, we don't know. We can't test them that way, but not knowing what it's supposed to be for is problematic.
So this sits, and I'm like starting to assemble it now. Yeah, so this should be pretty quick to assemble. And just to show you guys, let me tilt back up here a little bit. Basically, this is everything. This is it. So when we have the pieces together, we'll come back to you and show it to you. So basically, that's the unboxing, and that literally, we're at 20 minutes, and that's with probably 5 minutes of me and Kyle messing around on this thing. So maybe like a 15-minute unboxing. So what's really cool as far as pluses for me, the portability of this unit is going to be a huge plus. The lightweight, I mean, that was so easy to unpack. The fact that all the components seem to be made out of really nice quality materials. And I'm really excited to kind of put this thing together to see what it can do, especially that Kyle said it's got an automated and manual crank. It's really cool. So Kyle and I are going to work on putting this together. And again, the whole point of this is to show you guys what it takes to set up a shop, whether it's good or a flop, it's going to happen. But I'll have the right machine to do it. And then we'll talk about the other pieces to that puzzle too.
We'll be back here with the first burn to test it out in just a minute.
Stick around. So starting at the top, we have the handle so that this can be a handheld unit. And as we go down, you'll kind of see it's got a nice sturdy tower connected by 4 bolts on the bottom. Also, you can see the base, everything is an all-in-one unit. Coming to the front, you've got 3 buttons: power, vertical rise up, vertical down, and then you have your emergency stop. You've got a place for all of your airflow. Coming around from the back, you'll notice that there are 2 pins and 5 pins, but those go to the box that makes this a 4-pin unit. So this does have an external rotary controller. You'll also notice that you've got about 5 feet of cord if you did want to make this a handheld unit, which makes it pretty useful. All together, this is 16 by 11, making it a really useful and space-conscious device to take with you when you go to the flea market. All right, guys, Matt and Kyle back here again, working with the ComMarker. So you can see it's gotten dark in my shop because Kyle and I put this thing together, took a break to have some dinner, and just got back to it. So basically, Kyle and I spent 50 minutes putting this together. Actually, I spent 50 minutes doing it. Kyle watched me and was like, I'm not gonna help you. I'm not gonna help you. So that's fair. Because we're trying to give you guys like a legitimate thing. I am the most average user that you will meet. So I am just like everybody else. Like I've got like 5 or 6 lasers now. Still takes me forever to put stuff together. But even with that being said, I think it was like 51.30 something We had a timer going.
Yeah, it was like 52 minutes.
Yeah. So that being said, that's completely broken down, disassembled, pulling it out of the box, putting it together. So that's one of the things too, considering if you were taking this somewhere, this is so small and so easy to maneuver and move, that basically I'd say setup would be anywhere from a half an hour to 50 minutes, depending on what you took apart and what you did with it. So that's something to consider. I know that's one of the things we talked about and people ask about, how long does it take to put together? What do I need to take with me? Etc., etc. So that being said, assembly wasn't too bad. You really just needed your trusty set of Allen wrenches, was the only thing I needed. We had 2 different size screws, an M4 and an M3. And so basically the tower connected to the base with the M4s, 4 M4s, easy to put together. And they only fit in one direction basically. So that was pretty simple and quick and easy. Then the actual arm attached with 4 M3s, and that was the thing that was the biggest pain in the butt. So just a quick reminder, always raise your device to the highest it can be on the arm so that you can actually, like the platform is highest up, so you can sit there, maneuver it in position, and screw it easy to see. Just get enough room to work and enough room to see. But it really wasn't too bad, just the normal, usual thing when you're putting together any type of galvo device. And then once that was together, we powered it up, turned it on, we loaded the core file, we got their parameters put in place for it using the 30 watt that we took and used the converter file to convert it down to a 20 watt. So pretty straightforward. Also, Kyle's already done all of that stuff. So if you're a member of the LMA, or even if you haven't looked there before, if you did get something like this, the files are already converted for 50 watt, 30 watt, 20 watt. So really, you, even if you didn't have Kyle sitting there handing it to you, he already did hand it to you. So that's pretty cool. So that's pretty much it. And then we've got the thing set up. I plugged in my exhausts. So really that's the only thing extra that I did. Plug in the exhaust to go. So we're ready to do a test burn. Kyle, any thoughts? You watched me fumble around.
I thought you did perfectly fine.
Yeah, perfectly fine.
Me seeing you go through it as somebody who's now put it together and broken it down, I didn't see anything as an outside perspective that would maybe throw anybody off, other than maybe the tower alignment at the bottom when you stick it up a little up for the motor. It's keyed so that for the shaft for the motor. So that's going to hang some people up, and you're probably going to get frustrated and drop a couple swears and whatnot. But just take it easy, give it some time. I think Matt came up with the trick of rotating the handle at the top in order for the slot at the bottom to kind of drop on. Just don't press down hard. Just rotate gently, and when it drops down on, you're good, and you bolt everything together.
And the best way I can explain it with looking at what's around me is that what he's saying is that basically it's keyed like this. So there is a little shaft drive at the bottom because it's a motor. So literally it's almost like a letter C, and then there's one tiny part that's flat. So you pretty much have to take the worm rod at the bottom, has a shaft in it so that it's got a basically a connecting thing, and you pretty much just have to spin it from the top to where it clicks, and once that happens, boop, it just drops into place. And that's when you can attach the base and the tower together pretty quickly. But that probably took me, I think, goes about 4 minutes to kind of figure out, like, oh, okay. Because anytime I was tripping up, I was like, Kyle, start like the secondary timer, like the lap timer for messing up. And so that one, and then just even, it was really nice though having that handle on top of the actual galvo arm where the laser path is, because what's really nice is you can sit there and maneuver it to where you need it to be, and then you've got the little Allen wrench. And if you're seeing this beautiful bracelet that my daughter made me, there you go. She's really excited that it's going to be on YouTube. So anyways, we put that in there, and that was it. And so I'm going to switch us over to the other camera real quick. So this is the laser itself. The only thing I did was I just put my exhaust here. So I've got my little card. I know you can't see it, but I've got a aluminum business card here. The one thing I will say is that when Kyle and I framed this up to make sure it was framed out correctly, it was really weak looking under bright light. So that's something to consider. So let me open Lightburn here, choose the correct device, ComMarker 200, and then we'll just write the word test on this card. Okay, so really now that we're here at the laser, I'm just showing you guys, I've got my little aluminum business card here. It's hard to see because it's on the black surface. One thing that you're going to see in a second is it's kind of difficult on the black surface to see the red light. So at least for me, Kyle said he didn't have a problem seeing it, but we'll see.
The magic of computer screens.
Yeah, right. So here we go. We're going to hit frame. Yeah, see, can you see it right now?
A little bit, yeah.
See, right there? I can tell you, like, in person, I can see it pretty easily on the card, but when I take it away, it is difficult. So the first thing I'm thinking of is when I take this out into a brightly lit day for a mobile device or a table that might be exposed to bright light, that's something I'm already trying to think about, considering, like, okay, how am I going to deal with that? So, you know, creating that enclosure that most of us talk about a lot is probably going to be pretty vital, actually, or having some cardboard to at least shade, you know, whatever side is getting hit with bright light so that you can see and have it framed up. Or Kyle and I were just talking about it over dinner, having jigs so that you know where everything is right off the bat and it's framed out nice and neat for you so you don't have to think hard. All right, but before all that happens, let's just see if this even works. We'll just write the word tests, so nothing too fancy. So let me go in here. We'll select library, aluminum, white finish, click assign, go back and hit frame, ready to go. All right, here we go. Oh, we're getting marking. Got my exhaust here held in place by a fancy Allen wrench, only the best. All right, sweet. So we'll turn off framing. All right, and you can already see it from there. All right.
I would call it a successful first burn.
And actually, let me measure this out. So this is 37 centimeters in length by 26.5 centimeters in width. So for those of you who don't use it often, that's like 1.33 feet, so 1.25 feet, so 1.25 feet long by just under a foot. So not too bad for a workspace. So for those of you who are wondering about the length, what did 37 come out to?
37 centimeters is about 1.04 feet, so 16 inches roughly.
That's basically 16 inches in length by about 11.5 inches in width. So long story short, you're looking at 1.5 feet would be my suggestion, because with the power cord sticking out of the back and everything, that's another 1.5 inches or so. So you're looking at 18 inches by 11.5 inches, which is pretty small space. So you're really getting a big bang for your buck. If you're trying to make a quick impression, that's about as white as you can get on that black card. So this is my card from the 50 watt, like I just had a mess up, and so I had the back ready to go. So I mean, that's pretty sweet. Again, that's with the settings that we've converted from the LMA param files down to a 20 watt. So what really makes me happy about this is, as far as can this work, absolutely. So I want to do some dithering and look at some images, because when I think about the 3 things that people are going to want when I go to any type of market, craft fair market, I know that this will work on here on aluminum. And so I think that'd be really cool to make some cards that have pictures on them, number 1. Number 2 would be some slate. So that's going to be one of the next things that we test and work on, is some slate and making sure that that works really well. And because we have the 200 by 200 millimeter lens in, that means I've got an 8-inch by 8-inch workspace, which is awesome, because I can make some signs. I can do a couple of coasters at once, really. So you've got a lot of workspace to play with there. And so just trying to figure out, that'll be the next step. So now that I know I've got slate, I've got aluminum, and then probably some steel, like maybe some steel coins or something to make something cool, or some other steel products, right? So that's kind of my thoughts. Anything else, Kyle?
Sounds good. And the benefit there is you did start off with the 200 lens there. You could knock it down to a 110 and maybe do some coins a little bit more efficiently, a little bit faster.
Absolutely.
So there's some flexibility there to be had. If you're working with smaller stuff, you could always knock it down to a 110 and save a little bit of time and take advantage of that limited power from the wattage from that 20 watt max source.
Right. And that's one of those things where when you think about going to a market and doing live engraving, making sure you have the right products, so that if you do want to switch out lenses and take that time, is it going to be better to just keep it always at 200 and find the right settings to optimize your time? Or would it be smarter to use the right lens to do something quicker and more efficiently? So that's one of those things too that we'll be talking about in this series as we get prepped for doing a live market. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.
Yeah.